Welcome to Mr. R's art class. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and turn on notifications. Thumbs, subs, and ring that bell. So for this project, we're going to be projecting different designs on a wall inside the auditorium. For these walls, we have a different amount of space to work with. So wall number 1 and number 2, there's a little bit of space. Wall number 3, we have the most amount of space, and wall number 4, we have a medium amount of space. Now these walls are facing different directions, so some of these walls might be visible to people in the audience and some of them might not. So here's wall number 1, that's facing the left side of the auditorium, and only people sitting on the left side of the auditorium or the stage will be able to see wall number 1. So that's the same amount of space, it's just facing a different angle. Walls 2, 3, and 4, everybody in the auditorium will be able to view those walls there. So again, we have to design these differently. Wall number 3, we have the most amount of space. Wall number 4, we have the medium amount of space. And then back on the left side of the auditorium, again, all those walls are visible, but people sitting in the audience, depending on where they're sitting at, they do see these walls differently. So we have to take that in consideration when we're designing these walls. So this is actually a viewpoint from the projector. This is how your designs are going to be projected on the wall. So it's actually projecting number 3 at an angle here. So you can see in this still here how your design is being projected. This is from the viewpoint from the projector. Now I'm going to give you a template, and in this template, it's going to look something like this. And wall number 3 isn't going to be tilted like that. You could go ahead and design number 3 as a regular square. So since we have the most amount of space in wall number 3, I'm going to give you some ideas of what you could put inside of these different walls. Wall number 3, I could give you the logo for our school. So since we have a lot more space for wall number 3, you could put a lot more work inside there. You could put some of the doodles that you created for the yearbook. You could put some designs that you created for the Google logo. You could also include any work from previous semesters or some of the work that we've created this semester. And if we have multiple people doing this logo here, we can actually overlay some of these different designs. So this is how it would look inside of the software once we have our designs created. If we have multiple people designing the logo, so for wall number 1 here, we could have maybe some texture or a color or a pattern. Same thing with wall number 2, we have the same amount of space, but you could probably fit a little bit more inside there. So you could probably have your name, you could have a texture, you could have a pattern. Wall number 3, that could be where we include the logo that you design, and we change different parts of it. So when we overlay it, you can see kind of a slideshow of all the different logos that students created. Then wall number 3, you have a little bit more space there. You could include some of the artwork that we've done from this semester or from a previous semester. So let's go and get started. So the first thing you want to do is go ahead and download these templates that I created for you. So you just click on this ellipse, click on download, the same one for the wall mask, click on download. We're going to create these 2 files separately. So the first document that we downloaded was the logo of our mascot, and we're going to go ahead and fill out the inside here differently from each other so that when we overlay these, it's kind of creating a slideshow. It's going to look like the only thing that's changing is the inside of this logo, whereas the mascot stays down here, and then the words and the letters here are going to be changing differently. So that's going to create a nice effect once that's projected on the walls. The second one is all of the walls. So this is wall number 1, wall number 2, wall number 3, and wall number 4. So this would be where the logo for a school will actually go. So now that we have those downloaded, let's go to create a folder. Let's click on downloads. There's the 2 files there. Now I'm going to hold down Control and tap the letter N. And I'm going to go over to my documents. So go ahead and click on the academic year, the period you have my class, the semester we're currently in, and let's create a folder for this project. So you could right click and scroll down to where it says new, click on folder, and just call this Auditorium. And you could drag those over. And those should be inside that folder there. We're going to download a couple more things here. You could download your designs from the Google logo or from the doodles that we did for the yearbook. So let's go into Vector. So let's go to vector.com. Make sure that you're logged in. If you're not logged in, Vector is going to create a fake account and it will not save your file. So make sure you're logged in. If you are ready to log in and this login button isn't showing, you just have to click to the side and then click back to activate it. Now, before we go and create a new file for our designs, I'm going to go over here, and this is the yearbook cover that we created previously. What I'm going to do is I'm actually going to download this one. So I'm going to go over here, click on open, and you could do the same process for the Google logo. You could download those and incorporate them inside of the project that we're going to be creating right now. So you want to click on this export, and you want to download them as an SVG, click on download, and that's going to go over to your downloads folder as an SVG. So let's go back to our Windows. There's the downloads, there's Auditorium, and there's the yearbook doodles there. And we can import these files inside of Vector. So we're going to go back to Vector. I'm going to click on this home button, and I'm going to create a new file. I'm going to go ahead and collapse this window here, so I'm going to click on close. And the first thing we do is we're going to click on pages here, and we're going to change the name of this file so that we're able to find it a little bit easier. So we can call this wall design. And then the next thing we need to do is we need to change the dimensions of it. So for this design, we're going to leave it inside of pixels. We need to click on this lock here to unlock it and change these dimensions. So the width of this is going to be 1920. The height of this is going to be 1080. And then we have to lock this back up. And then we can close that. And you can hold down Control tap 0 to zoom all the way out. And we're going to import or upload our design. So we're going to click on that little cloud. You're going to click on Documents, click on the academic year we're currently in, the period you have my class, the semester we're currently in, click on the folder that we created, and then this is going to be for the wall mask. So there's the template there, and you can click on Layers. So these are our view buttons here. So I actually hit that first rectangle. You just can't see it because this window's in the way. This is for the second one, this is for the third one, and this is for the fourth one. So you can actually name these so it's a little bit easier to find. So this could be 1. Let's rename this one to 2. Let's rename this one to 3. And let's rename this one to 4. And you could lock these in. So when you lock them in, they're not able to move. And that's kind of what you want. You don't want to resize these squares or rectangles. You want to leave them just the same shape so that when we actually put them on the wall and we project these on the wall, they're where they're supposed to. If you start moving these different rectangles around or resizing the squares, your design might not line up with another student's design, or once it's projected, it might not line up with the walls. So for this first design here, we can actually unlock it since we're going to be working on it. And what you could do is you could click off of it. You have it selected. You could hold down Control C, or you could right click and copy. And then I'm going to go ahead and right click and paste in place. So when you paste in place, it's actually going to overlap over the previous one. If you just paste, it might paste it to the side where it's not aligned with the original one. So go ahead and click on paste in place, and that's going to create a new layer here. So you have 2 layers called number 1. So we could lock this first one, and you could leave it the viewpoint on if you want. So this first design, you could actually select it now. And if you click back and open up your properties, you could click on fills, and you could change the color of it. So you could change it to blue, or you could change it to violet, pink, any color. So you could find any color here, select it, and then change that one here. So again, this is wall number 1, right? So wall number 1, it's only gonna be facing a certain part of the audience. It's only gonna be facing the left side of the stage, so that might not be visible. So this one here could actually be a pattern that you create. So you can use this pen tool here to create different patterns. So we could go over to Google. You could type in patterns, click on images. Since only a certain amount of people are gonna be able to view this, since it's on that wall number 1, some of the information that's in wall number 1 isn't going to be as important. So you could click here on this first one, and you can get an idea of simple patterns. So you could maybe create a pattern like a brick, some zigzags, some stripes, or some checkers. You could close that out, right? So find some of these other patterns that might be a little bit more challenging. You could create something like this here that uses different triangles. So let's maybe try to create something like that. So I'm going to click on this first one here. Every time you use your shapes or you use the pen tool, it's going to create a different layer. So I'm going to use this pen tool. Try to come up with your own designs. So the way that this pen tool works is that you click, let go, click and let go, click and let go, and you have to go back to and click on that point that you originally started with. So you could click on layers. It's going to be a path here, so you could label this if you want to. Since we're here, you could also change maybe the names for those previous layers. So this could be one original, so that we don't get confused. This could be your blue rectangle. But again, you don't have to have the same colors as me. You don't have to have the same pattern. So make sure that you're changing those the way that you want to. And then you can lock these in. So I'm going to lock in the blue rectangle, or the rectangle that I made blue. Triangle, I'm going to leave that unlocked. And since I have that selected, I could right click. I'm going to go ahead and copy. I'm going to go ahead and right click and paste. And I could reuse that same shape, right, if I'm creating a pattern. If you accidentally scroll all the way to the left or top or bottom, you could hold down Control and tap the 0 if you want to get a better viewpoint and rearrange those. So again, these are different shapes, right? This is not a perfect rectangle here, so we might have to rearrange that point there on the left-hand side. So you could hold down Control plus. If you need to zoom back in, you could double click on these different corners here, and then you could adjust those. Let's say you want to use that same shape and maybe rotate it. I could click off, click on that shape, right click, copy, right click, paste, and now I'm going to show you how to rotate. So you just have to hover over a corner until you get this little loop here. And I'm going to hold down Shift so that this snaps in place. And now I rearranged that same triangle. So again, if you want to edit this, you can probably click off, double click on your shape, and then you could rearrange those points. So once you have that the way you want it, you could click on it, you could right click, copy, right click, paste. If you want to use that same shape, you don't have to use the same shape in the same rectangle. These could all be different types of shapes. So this one needs to be adjusted. So I'm going to put it right there, and you can see that it's off of the rectangle. So I need to zoom back in, Control plus. I'm going to double click on my shape, and now I can change the points. All right, the shapes inside of this rectangle don't have to be the same color. You could click on the shape. You could open up your properties here by opening and clicking that arrow. You could fill these in, because right now it's just an outline, it's just a border. And these could be different colors. So again, that's just wall number 1. It could be a texture, it could be a pattern. Again, remember, this is going to be the wall that's facing only a certain part of the audience. So don't put information that isn't too important, or don't put your main designs here in that first wall. This second wall here, I'm going to click on layers. I'm going to lock everything here. So here's that wall number 2. I'm going to unlock it. I'm going to right click on it. I'm going to copy. I'm going to paste in place. Make sure you're placing these same original shapes on top of each other. This could be original in case we mess up that first shape. We could do the same thing with the other ones. Can lock that original in. You could even hide that original one if you want to. Here is the original. Here's number 4 underscore original. So here's wall number 2. Since I have wall number 2 selected, I can open up my properties. It doesn't have to be the same color. All your walls do not have to be the same color. I will click on this fills. I'm going to click on orange. And there's my wall number 2 there. Now, this is a shape, and if I put anything over it, it might move, so I need to lock this in. I'm going to bring some text over. I'm going to maybe put my name here. So I clicked on the T for text. I'm going to type in my name here. Maybe do all caps. It's up to you, so you don't have to do the same thing that I'm doing. I'm going to click on border. And this is just going to make it a little bit more bolder here. Make sure I have everything selected. Or you could click off and click back. And that'll let you change it to, let's say, 10. But I'm going to go ahead and scale this up. So you could grab a corner. Let me scoot this back. I'm going to grab the corner. I'm going to zoom out. I'm going to hold down Control and 0 to zoom out. I'm going to hover next to a corner here until I get that little loop. And I'm going to hold down Control, tap the letter Z if I want to go back to that original place. I'm going to hold down Shift. That's what I want to do, so that this snaps in place, or at these different angles. So I'm going to hold down Shift, hover over a corner until I get that loop. Alright, and there you go. So I'm going to put my name there. I'm probably going to change the color of this. So I'm going to go back to my properties. I'm going to change the fills. Maybe change this to white. Same thing with the border. And if you want to change the angle of this a little bit, you could not hold down Shift, just hover over a corner and just change it slightly. So again, this is a little bit more information in this surface number 2, this wall number 2, right? Everybody in the audience is going to be able to see this. So this could be your name. You could have a pattern around your name. You can change the colors of the different letters of your name. Wall number 3, I'm going to show you here in a minute of what we could put there. We have to use that other mask, and we're going to create a different vector file for that. So wall number 3, you could include some artwork that you created previously in a different semester or inside this semester. So what we could do is I'm going to lock all these layers and I'm going to upload. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to upload some of the doodles that I did for the yearbook. You could do this for the Google logo as well. That's why we downloaded this. So we don't have to keep going back and forth. And so here's some of the doodles. These are all unlocked. I don't have to use them all. I'm probably not going to use this. I'm not going to use that. I could probably use my robot. And I could probably use this graduation hat. But since I already have those, I'm going to collapse this. And all you have to do is just click and drag your mouse. So something that I also imported was the template that we used for the yearbook. So that's what these rectangles are. So I'm going to click off those. I'm going to click and delete. Just hit the delete button. Alright. Now I'm going to click and drag over this leaf. I could just rearrange it inside of this design. Again, you do not need to, and you do not want to, change the size of this template that I created for you. Alright, so if you want to rotate a whole design, you would just click and drag, and then just hover over a corner. And it selected my name, so maybe I need to go back on that. Maybe click off the lock and unlock it again, and it shouldn't move it. So there are some bugs inside this program. And again, you want to make sure everything fits inside this template that I gave you. So again, if I need to scale it down, I could grab a corner. You don't have to hold down Shift. Just grab a corner, click and drag. Change the scale of these different doodles here. Right, so you can create some variation. So I'm going to click and drag my leaf. And you can use these different buttons here if you want to flip them horizontally, flip them vertically. Alright, there you go. So again, I'm going to show you how to design this third wall here right now. So after we design it, we're going to download the design separately. So let's say this is done, right? You want to do walls 1, 2, and 4. If you don't want to use the school logo for this design here in the middle, then you could design right here inside this template. But if you want to use the school logo and you want to change the letters and the different colors inside the school logo, then that's what I'm going to do next here in this video. So let's say that this is done. Let's say that this has your pattern, you have your name or some of your designs here, and then you have your doodles included. Again, you could change these colors of the doodles. You don't have to leave them the colors that they originally were. You could still change them. So let's say you're ready to save this, you're ready to send this to me. I'm going to click on this properties button down here, this triangle. I'm going to click on export, and you're going to send it to me as a PNG. So you would click here, click on PNG, and then click on download. So it's going to be a PNG. You're going to send it to me as a PNG. You're going to click down here in downloads, get your other window up. It's going to be your downloads, and then you just drag that over. And this is the file that you upload inside of Teams, right? So that's if you just want to create all your designs together in the same template inside of Vector. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to go back to Vector. I'm going to close this out, and I'm going to show you how to design the school logo. So I'm going to click back here on where it says Home. I'm going to create New. And we need to change the size of this template. So I need to click over here on where it says Pages. You can change this to School Logo. And we need to change the dimensions. Let's change this to inches. Let's click on the unlock button first. Click on inches now. And this is going to be, width is going to be 10 inches. The height is going to be a little bit bigger, 10.25, so 10 1/4. And then we need to lock this back up. Click out. And then I'm going to hold down Control, tap 0 so we can see the whole design. And then I'm going to click on this cloud here to upload an image or upload the design that I gave you, the template that I gave you. So here's the Trojan logo. I'm going to click on that, click on open, and everything's going to be here. So when I created this, these different layers were labeled, but what you could do is you could click on different things here and figure out what these different parts are. So this part here is just the background. It's a white background. So you could start labeling these. So background. This is the image. You can probably leave that there, or you can just rename it as logo. All right, so there's the logo. And let me actually leave these off so you can see what I'm actually clicking on. So these are going to be different letters of the text up there. And so this is actually what we're going to change. So this is going to be the S. This is going to be the N. It's going to be the A. And I'm just double clicking to edit the name of the file. That's J. It's going to be the O. Even though we can't see it, we know that's the R. And then that's the T there. And so you could lock all these so that they don't move around. Again, same thing with the other template. You don't want to resize these, right? I should be able to take one student's design and lay it over the next design so that it looks like only the letters are changing, but that the design is staying the same. All right, so you can start designing these one at a time. I'm going to go ahead and collapse this so I can have a little bit more space. And you could also, same thing, is I'm going to hold down Control-0 so you could actually get this inside view. And I'm going to right click on this in case I mess it up. And I'm going to copy, and then I'm going to right click and paste in place. Again, you want to put this right on top of the original letters. And I'm going to rename this one. This is going to be original. I could click on that. Since it's the original one, I don't need it. I could hide that. And here is the copy here. And so you could design different patterns inside these different letters. You can also click on them. Since it's a path, you could open this up, and you could click on fills, and you could change the colors. Right, so there's the letter T, and you could make these different colors as you move towards the right. They could be slightly different colors. Try not to do the same thing inside each letter. So whether that's having different colors, having different patterns inside, you could also bring some of the doodles that you did previously and fit those in. You just have to make sure whatever you're designing fits inside these letters. Right, so let me get rid of the original image. You just have to make sure that everything fits inside these letters here. So let's say I want to lock that in. Here's the letter R here. I'm going to unlock it. I'm going to right click on it. I'm going to copy. I'm going to right click again, paste in place. There's the R there. Let's call this one original, and then we're going to hide it. So make sure it's locked so that it doesn't move. And I'm just going to change these colors slightly. So again, whenever I show you something inside these tutorials, I'm just showing you some of the basic steps that you could take. Again, you should have work that's a lot better and a lot more refined than mine. One thing you could use here is this eyedropper tool. So you could click on this and you could select a previous color, and you could change it slightly by clicking on this color wheel and just moving it just a little bit. So even though you can't really tell, I'm going to hit escape. This is a slightly different color. And so what I did for my design is I went from a lighter orange and I went to a darker orange when I got to the right. Alright, so I'm going to keep doing this here. I just want to make sure that layer is locked. So here's the next letter. I'm going to copy and then paste in place. You just have to make sure that you have this somewhat organized. Changing the file name, and then I'm going to hide it. Do the same thing with my letter J. Drag it down. Call the original original. So I'm only copying the letters in case I make a mistake. I'm going to hide it though. I'm going to hide the originals. So you can tell that it's actually hidden if it has an X through the I there. So here's the A. Click on copy, paste in place. Now since these are the same, it doesn't matter if it actually is the copy. You just want to make sure that you label one of them original, since they should be exactly the same and they should be in the exact same place. And I could hide it. Here's the N, copy, paste in place. And there's the S here. You can click on these layers here if they're already labeled and they're locked. You should be able to still edit it and copy it. There's the last letter there. And then you could go ahead and lock that one and hide that one. So my previous design had orange letters for the logo. This one I'm going to change that a little bit more. I'm going to maybe go a little bit more red here so you can actually tell. So I'm going to make this last letter. I'm going to start at the end here. Make sure that these layers are unlocked. You won't be able to select it if it's locked. Have that letter S selected. Click on fills. I'm going to make this maybe violet so you can tell the real difference between the one I originally did inside the video and this one here. You can lock that one. Here's the N here. Click on fills. I'm going to work on the letter A now. So again, you don't have to do just different colors. You probably shouldn't do just colors. You should actually include different designs inside these letters here. So maybe bring some of your doodles that you did previously. There's the J. Alright, so I think that's okay for something to start out with. So you can actually see the difference between this one and the original logo that we did. So I can actually unlock. Right, so all those letters, if you did it correctly, should lay over the original logo. Right, so there's the original logo. And let's say this is ready to go. You're ready for me to put this inside of your third surface. You could click on export and you want to save this as a PNG. And then you want to hit download. So let's go over to those two folders, the downloads folder and the auditorium, and just drag that over. So there's the school logo there. So these would be the two files that you actually upload, these PNGs here, upload those inside of Teams, and then I'll go ahead and put everybody's designs on the different surfaces. What you could also do too is before you submit these, which will be a little bit more helpful for me, is maybe put your name here inside the file name. So you could just click on a file to change the file name. If you double click, it'll open it up, but you just want to single click, click once, and wait a second. So you can just click once, wait a while, and then click again, and it'll let you edit that. Okay, so let me show you what that's gonna look like here. Let's say I got your design, and I'm gonna go ahead and bring my designs in. Right, so that would be the texture one that we had there. So this is why it's important that your designs stay inside that template that I created, in those shapes that you have inside your template. Because if they don't, then your design might get cut off and it might not project properly. Right, so as long as I'm scaling it up, it should fit. So here's the wall number 3. So let me bring that design over. And I want to be able to show you the difference here. So I'm going to scoot this over. So this is the one I created at the beginning of the video, and then this is the one that I created now. So it's going to look like the main part of the logo is the same, and the only thing that's changing is going to be the letters here. So that could be your design, that could be a color change inside the different letters of the logo. So if I put everybody's design here, it's going to look like the main part of the logo is staying the same, but the letters are changing, right? So if I put those over properly, it's going to look like everything stayed the same but the letters. So now I'm going to go ahead and include this last part here. So there you go. So once you have all your designs, I'm going to bring it over together in the same program. Each of you get your own slide. So this is what it's going to look like once we project your design on the wall. So if you have any questions of how to maybe export some of your old designs and bring them into the same vector file, if you have any questions of how to name the different layers inside the template, or how you should be able to fit inside the space that I give you inside the template, go ahead and let me know.
Thank you for watching the video. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and turn on notifications. And feel free to watch any of the other related videos.